Hey there guys, I'm back to another game review. Today we'll be taking a look at Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on the PlayStation 5. Rift Apart was announced last year on June 11th during the PlayStation 5 showcase. Alongside Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, I was extremely excited for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. The title showcased the power of the PS5, instantly going from one dimension to another. The reveal of a new playable lombax, who will soon be known as Rivet, also had me excited for Rift Apart. Her inclusion within the story keeps things interesting. Gameplay-wise, it looked like the most refined Ratchet and Clank title to date, with new weapons and gadgets to boot. The traversal mechanics of dashing and wall running look good to keep the series from getting stale. The state of play 2 months ago kept the excitement going as they showcased 15 minutes of gameplay featuring both Ratchet and Rivet. Now that it's finally out, is it worth the $70 price tag as a PS5 exclusive? The story of Rift Apart starts with Ratchet and Clank being celebrated for the heroes they are. The duo have been retired for quite some time, and Clank has a surprise for Ratchet. Clank, during his spare time, fixed the Dimensionator to allow Ratchet to search for the lombaxes. Ratchet, not really sure how to handle the surprise, their arch nemesis, Dr. Nefarious, crashes the party. After stealing the Dimensionator and a scuffle between both parties, the three of them are scattered across a dimension where Dr. Nefarious wins. Clank is found by Rivet, who doesn't take Clank's story of another lombax running around in her world as fact. After discovering Clank is telling the truth, Rivet decides to help Clank in restoring the world and stopping Dr. Nefarious. The overall story of Rift Apart is standard for the Ratchet and Clank series. The inclusion of another lombax and interdimensional hopping makes the game's world feel even bigger in Ratchet and Clank's already massive world. I believe Insomniac Games wanted this title to be an entry point for the series for those who have never played a Ratchet and Clank game before. The story does reflect that in some regard, as other characters from the Ratchet and Clank universe will pop in, but never as a prominent force within the story. The story is very much focused on Ratchet, Clank, and Rivet's journey in stopping Dr. Nefarious. Rivet isn't just a copy and paste job of Ratchet either. She has her own personality and backstory, which helps drive her own motives in the game's story. There's a reason behind every decision and move she makes, which is awesome to see. Insomniac Games knew introducing another Lombax character was important and took the proper steps in introducing her. The last time another Lombax was introduced was Azimuth in A Crack in Time, who had clear ties with Ratchet's past and made for an amazing character in the game's fantastic story. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, after only one playthrough, delivers a satisfying story for the series while introducing new and colorful characters. The gameplay for Rift Apart met all of my expectations. It's by far the most refined gameplay the Ratchet and Clank series has seen so far. I mean, after working on the series since the PlayStation 2, I'm glad Insomniac Games still know how to keep Ratchet and Clank feeling new. Ratchet and Rivet's gameplay is pretty much the same, nothing different between the two from what I can tell. The gunplay, the platforming, it all returns with new toys to play with. Buying and upgrading weapons works just like before. Purchase new weaponry with bolts and upgrade them by using them frequently to gain levels. In addition, use rare to upgrade weapons in certain areas to take advantage of the weapon's full power. Fans of the series will recognize most of the weapons, but new ones shouldn't be ignored either. Obviously, you'll gravitate towards certain weapons over others, but the arsenal this game offers is plentiful. The Phantom Dash is one of the new traversal mechanics introduced for Rift Apart. It allows the player to dash in one of the 4 directions while being invulnerable from incoming attacks. You can also do this move while jumping, which can help in extensive platforming sections. I'm honestly so used to jumping back and forth while shooting my weapons. It's nice to get another move that assists in combat. Also, the Phantom Dash does assist in extending a jump to reach those far away platforms. Wall running is kind of cool in this game since you don't slowly descend as you go further along the wall. Because of this, it does feel kind of awkward at first, but I got used to it rather quickly. The slingshot makes a return to assist in swinging over large gaps. Dimensional hopping is the gimmick for this title, so you can use them to reach greater heights or travel over large gaps. There are also these pocket dimensions, which serve as mini platforming challenges. They're never too hard to figure out and usually have a collectible at the end of its path. The armor upgrades are now more for cosmetics rather than making Ratchet/Rivet more durable to enemy attacks. The armor pieces do offer bonuses like less damage to certain enemy types and more bolts or experience points, but nothing too major. This change is kind of jarring because all full-length Ratchet and Clank games prior to this, the last one being A Crack in Time, pretty much require the player to buy these upgrades to withstand enemy attacks. Now that it's more of a cosmetic feature with slight bonuses, I'm actually okay with this. For one, most of the armors in this game aren't my style, since most of the helmets cover Ratchet/Rivet's face completely. Second, having the armor for cosmetics allows the player to have the freedom to not use any armor pieces throughout their playthrough. It's definitely nice walking around as Ratchet/Rivet without any armor restricting their look. Plus, it makes the armor more of a collectible now rather than a required purchase to continue playing. A change that is welcoming, but I can see some Ratchet & Clank elitists not liking it. Other collectibles to be found are the gold bolts and infobots. The infobots unlock the Rhino, which is the strongest weapon in the game. All the collectibles are found while exploring each planet. Some are easier to find than others, but the side missions and collectibles as a whole keep the fun going. Additional gameplay elements include the scuttlebug, the hover boots, and the flying dragon. Driving the scuttlebug isn't that bad. It's required to move across terrain that Ratchet/Rivet can't walk over. The scuttlebug functionally works. The hover boots make a return, and they're still fun as hell to use. Used as a way to travel faster while exploring the planets, you can even build up speed on your own now by mashing the L2 button a couple of times. The hover boots are by far my favorite tool for increased mobility. I'm pretty sure it's not called this, but the flying dragon sections with Rivet are so bad. They don't feel good to control whatsoever, and having to travel across the planet with it is even more of a hassle. You can't park the dragon wherever you want. It has to be in these designated spots in the map, which is understandable since it would probably break the game if the dragon was given full freedom to park wherever. Still, controlling the dragon never feels good. The hacking sections are now dedicated to this robot AI called Glitch. Glitch sections are just about maneuvering through the area to destroy the viruses. They're sort of mindless running and gunning sections. All you need to worry about is destroying the shield before getting to the virus. The glitch sections happen so infrequently, I'm okay with how they function. Clank has his own dedicated gameplay sections once again. This time they're all about working around these clones of himself to get to the end of the path. Using these different spheres to manipulate the clones, these Clank sections are really fun puzzles. I get excited whenever another Clank section comes up because the puzzles are satisfying to solve and complete. In short, the gameplay of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is fairly solid. The gunplay, the platforming, all of the series staples are here and greatly polished by Insomniac Games. New features like the Phantom Dash keep the platforming feel refreshing. Exploration is rewarded with collectibles to find throughout each planet. Other gameplay styles, for the most part, get the job done, except for the Flying Dragon. Despite the 5-year gap from their last Ratchet & Clank game, Insomniac Games still know how to create a fulfilling Ratchet & Clank experience in Rift Apart. Presentation-wise, the game looks phenomenal on the PlayStation 5. This is the best Ratchet & Clank have looked to date, with no loading times thanks to the PS5's SSD. Fidelity mode really makes the game's graphics pop, while performance mode shows what 60 FPS Ratchet & Clank looks like. Never once did I notice frame dips or graphic glitches while playing Rift Apart. The haptic feedback and adaptive triggers of the PS5 controller are used to a certain extent. You do feel the triggers while using certain weapons. It does feel kind of nice pulling the trigger all the way down when using the shotgun weapons. Pulling the trigger halfway down does shoot certain weapons differently as well. I'm kind of impressed with how Insomniac Games use the DualSense controller. It's neat for sure, but I'm not necessarily blown away by it. I did run into some weird and random glitches. The first one literally happened in the opening part of the game where this door didn't open and I had to restart from the last checkpoint. A couple of times while using the shop as Rivet, when I would preview a weapons video, the game would just straight up break, forcing me to restart my PS5. Some other ones I ran into, like this invisible floor and a NPC showing up in front of the shop. It feels weird to say this, but this is the buggiest Insomniac Games Ratchet & Clank title ever. I'm not sure if it's because of the new hardware of the PS5, but you'll run into a couple of bugs in any given playthrough. Insomniac can patch these bugs later down the road, but as it stands right now, Rift Apart isn't running perfectly on the PS5. Regardless, the overall presentation of Rift Apart is passable. While the game does look amazing on the PlayStation 5 hardware and the instant loading from one section to another, the bugs and glitches prevent this game's presentation from being outstanding. In conclusion, I had an enjoyable time playing Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. The story eases players back into the series while introducing new characters. The core gameplay with Ratchet and Rivet is as fun as ever with new tools and gadgets to work with. Other gameplay features like the hover boots and the new Clank sections are also welcoming additions. The flying dragon parts are still the worst part of the gameplay in my opinion. The presentation does show both sides of the PS5's power. Remarkable graphics for the Ratchet & Clank series with instant loading between areas. Glitches and bugs bugs will happen in any given playthrough as of right now, possibly because of the hardware being relatively new. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, while not perfect, is still a worthy 3D platformer as a PS5 exclusive. Whether or not it's worth that $70 price tag, I'll let you be the judge of that. Rift Apart's runtime averages about 9 to 11 hours to complete, obviously longer if you decide to go for 100% completion and run it all back in New Game Plus, also known as Challenge Mode. Insomniac Games for sure put a lot of time and effort into bringing the Ratchet and Clank duo back on the PlayStation 5, so I cannot wait to see what they do next. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have not already, you can subscribe. I put new videos up on Saturdays. You can follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Try to put updates on my future videos. Check out my podcast, the Travis and Damon Podcast. We talk about games, movies, and anime every other week over at anchor.fm/Travis Damon Podcast. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. I will see you guys next time with more videos.